Linda Burney went to the press club today to explain the voice.
Yes, she did. Now, the context is very important, isn't it? We know the last two news polls has support for the voice diving, but nothing quite says this thing is hitting the skids like yesterday's ACM poll. Keep in mind, ACM poll is over 10,000 respondents. Most news polls, we're talking just over 1,500. So yesterday's was a real kick in the guts because it showed just 38% of Aussies support a yes vote. So what does Albanese do? Bring out the big guns, bring out the heavy artillery. Indigenous Affairs Minister Linda Burney faced the national press conference today. Here she is.
Don't just take my word for it. He's Australia's #1 salesman, Linda Burney. Yeah, go on, Burney.
If you are not watching Senator Pauline Hanson's cartoons, I have to wonder what you're doing with your life. Great clip, great clip. Watch the full episode online. But of course, Burney was there to clear up misunderstandings, make everything much clearer. We were told long before this presser that she was going to be putting out the main promises of the voice, etc. and so on. So we're all very excited, thinking, well, finally, something clear-cut about this thing. But of course, she started off just by slagging off the No campaign, by associating with the worst person she could possibly think of. Here she is.
Do not let No campaign get away with using Trump-style politics in Australia. Do not let them divide us.
Trump-style politics. Well, if by that you mean wildly successful, the polls speak for themselves, Burney. But no, obviously, she was talking about lying. Here she is, just saying we're just liars.
People need to understand that misinformation and disinformation is damaging, and I do not apologise. And I will continue to make sure that the misinformation and disinformation is understood.
Careful, Burney. If you do make sure our arguments are understood, you'll be bleeding more votes, love. You don't want to do that. So then she actually started talking about what we all want to know. What will this voice do exactly? Here she is trying to clear it up for us, saying the 4 points that she thinks it should focus on.
From day one, the voice will have a very full in-tray. I will ask the voice to consider 4 main priority areas: health, education, jobs and housing.
Hang on a minute. You've spent months telling us that this voice is just an advisory body that will go to government on issues that it feels like and wants to and give little tidbits of advice. It's harmless, that's all it does. And here you are telling us now that you're the one, as a member of parliament, a very senior member of parliament, a member of cabinet no less, you're the one going to be tasking them up and telling them what to do and what to focus on. Well, Opposition Leader Dutton wasted no time wading in today. Of course, his job's easy at this point. The material writes itself.
Linda Burney's trying to pretend that the voice is one thing, but it's actually another. And Australians aren't stupid, they get it. And they know that if a bad designed voice goes into the Constitution, you can't change it.
I mean, honestly, once again, the Yes campaigners are doing the best job that they possibly can for the No campaign, Caro. It's unbelievable.
But they've been doing this for months. Like first telling us, and Senator Hanson-Young was out today, you don't want to vote with the nasties.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why? How does that even
you a Trumper,
figure?
Carolyn?
Well, no, not really. But the thing is, how on earth does that help you win your case? It's like with anything. It's for the proponents of the case to make the argument on the merits to convince everyone. If they don't do that, that's their problem. You don't go into a court and you lose your case and you blame the defence. That's not how it works. If you lost your case, you lost it off your own back. They have done absolutely nothing here to prosecute the merits of this. the whole way through, and whether it ends up being conversations about Australia Day, about making representations to the RBA,
No idea.
Not helping.
We're still none the wiser. And
No
she
idea.
talked for over half an hour, James. And a lot of talking, not actually saying anything. Today we know just as little as we did yesterday.
Well, I mean, she said the voice will be nimble, but she couldn't explain how it will work. She said the voice will be efficient, but she couldn't explain how much it will cost. She said the voice will be practical, but couldn't provide a practical example of how it would actually improve things other than we get a chance to listen. And the contradictories in the Yes campaign are incredible.
Her job is to listen anyway. People go and speak to members of parliament, people go and speak to ministers with issues, and they listen.
Yes.
So why aren't you just doing your job?
Exactly. It makes you wonder what she's been doing as the Minister for Indigenous Affairs. She says the voice will be completely independent of government, and the next breath she says, I will task the voice with investigating health, jobs, education,
is be
and
full of my wish list.
Exactly. She says we're here to unify the nation, but in the next breath says if you are against the voice, you're a Trumpian person, whatever that means. Evidently, it's bad. She says you're post-truth, and of course, Sarah Hanson-Young did the same thing. We're here to unify the nation, and if you don't agree with us, you're a bunch of nasties. And then she talked about how, when are we finally going to recognise Indigenous people? And I'm listening to that thinking, every time my Qantas plane lands, we recognise Indigenous people. Every
you
event
can't go to the opening of an envelope.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
So she really failed to make the case. She took 35 minutes to just waffle.
Yep, she did.
We took to the streets today and asked people if they've made up their minds about how they're going to vote and why. This is what they said.
Have you decided how you're going to vote in the Voice to Parliament referendum yet?
I have.
Yes? Would you like to tell us? Well, you don't have to tell us.
I probably won't
Yeah.
for two reasons. One, I don't understand it.
Yep.
And you don't ever invest in anything you don't understand.
Happy to recognise that they're the first people, but the second part, no.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for it.
You are going to vote for it?
Yeah.
And what got you across the line?
Oh, I think the Indigenous people, they've been, obviously here first, and they deserve, a decision in what goes on.
I'm voting yes, and it's time that Australians recognised Aboriginal people as the rightful owners of this land.
Do you feel like Labor's done a good job of selling it, or like you still don't quite understand what they're saying it will do?
I think they need to be a bit more explicit with what they're going to do.
I'm wanting to hear more of the consequences.
Yeah, probably just wait for more information.
I just want be a little bit more informed.
I still need to work through all the different details and then make an informed decision, so...
I think what I need is more detail.
I think that they could go more into details.
I'm thinking about it. I'm waiting for more information.
Really enjoyed talking to people today, and overwhelmingly, Caroline, found that people were very well intentioned and really want to see help provided for Indigenous people, but were still pretty foggy on what the voice is all about.
Absolutely, and this is where it's really important to not conflate recognition with the voice.
Yes.
And I think most people are in favour of recognition, and if you look at the opposition position, they're in favour of recognition and they're okay with a legislative voice. They have an issue with a constitutionally enshrined voice. So, this could all be sorted out if people wanted to.